You're not stuck because your technique is wrong. You're stuck because the version of you trying to fix you and fix your life doesn't even fucking exist. You think you're manifesting, but really you're avoiding. You're avoiding the fear, the guilt, the shame, the regret. The part of you swore you would never look back at. And until you face that, you'll keep looping the same negative circumstances, thoughts, emotions, feelings, beliefs over and over again. But the moment you actually do face it, everything changes. For the past 6 months, I have been alchemizing and dissolving this egoic part of me. The part of me that is trying to constantly figure out what's wrong with me, constantly trying the newest technique that everyone films and talks about and, makes content about and sells courses about. And one of the biggest things that I had to alchemize was this underlying fear of being seen and being judged by other people for just like being my true self. And, since alchemizing and dissolving that part of me, it's kind of funny. Last week, my sister had her wedding, and she asked me and her now sister-in-law to co-host and like co-MC the first wedding event. And this is in front of I don't know, I think 150, 175 people. And growing up, I had never done anything like this. I have never hosted any event, let alone my sister's wedding event, right? I've always had this fear of being seen, being judged for who I am. Anyways, since dissolving and alchemizing that part of me, leading up to the wedding event that I had to MC, I didn't feel that same fear of being seen or being judged. For the first time in my life, because I actually dissolved that egoic part of me, that egoic fear, I actually felt excited. I was counting down the days and hours until I could actually speak in front of people and talk to people and, help organize the entire wedding event. And if you knew me just a year ago, that would not even be a possibility in my mind. So, the day comes, I MC the whole event, everything goes so smoothly, and I'm not constantly thinking about how people are, judging me or, this fear of being seen. I'm just living completely in the moment, every single moment. And I was just following my intuition. I had a script obviously, but sometimes I would just go off the script and it turned out perfectly fine. Because that previous me, or that previous version of me, or that previous fearful perception that I used to store within my body, that's not present anymore. And then the day after, I had to give a 5-minute speech in front of, I think 320 people or something. And again, I have never talked in front of that many people before. I've always been so shy in my life, so scared of putting myself out there. I was cracking jokes, I was making everyone laugh, and this is, I don't want to say this because I want to give myself props or something, but I'm here to tell you you can do this with anything. Any part of you that you think is holding you back, it's not actually real. It's not actually part of you. It's something that, it's essentially a program that you've been running that maybe someone has programmed into you, or you've learned from society over time. And you know that if you were to overcome that one fear, that one limitation, that one emotional traumatic experience, you'd be set, right? Everything you'd want would be coming to you because you would take the proper action from a place of knowing who you are and knowing what you're worth. So I'm not here to tell you about the newest self-help method, self-development method, subconscious reprogramming method, manifestation method. All that shit doesn't address the core root of your issues, okay? You can robotically affirm all day long. If you don't internally feel that shift, nothing is going to change for you. You're not going to shift into that new version of you that you want to shift into. Which is why I always preach getting to the root issue, which is always a limitation in your emotional pain body. It is an energetic attachment that you need to let go, that you need to dissolve. Firstly, become aware of, feel into, and then dissolve. I think the biggest thing that I can take from, the whole law of attraction, law of assumption community is that Neville Goddard quote. I think it's actually a book title called Feeling is the Secret. This shit is so facts. Once you feel the change internally, nothing can stop you. Like when I internally shifted from having that egoic fear of being seen to just presenting myself as I truly am with like utmost confidence. First of all, my thought process changed so much. Like I wasn't looping the same thoughts or limiting beliefs anymore. But then also I noticed everyone talked to me differently. Like people, there was like some sort of level of like mutual respect whenever I'd converse with people. Even if they didn't agree with me, they could tell that I had this sort of confidence and like self-trust within me or something. And they responded differently. And this was like one of the first times that I realized like, oh shit, I can do anything. Because if I can overcome this deep-rooted fear that I've had for years, decades of my life, what is really going to stop me from alchemizing all the little stuff, And you have the same power. You have the same access and same awareness that I do. So really, the process, the solution is firstly becoming aware of what is sabotaging your growth, becoming aware of what is limiting you. I know for me, there was a lot of emotional trauma from my childhood and, being seen and being judged for who I am and speaking my truth. So I had to go into meditation, be still, cultivate this feeling of like safety and groundedness, and then literally with my own awareness and consciousness bring about the seeming problem, limitation, limiting belief, fear, whatever it was, scenario, memory, and feel where that tension is in my body. That's funny. He was kind of walking with a lot of tension in his body as well. But yeah, uncover where that emotional tension is and just sit with it. This, I describe all of this in the free handbook that's in the WhatsApp group, but essentially when you actually feel into these limitations and you start accepting them for what they are, which is literally just like an energetic knot, you start breathing through it, you start forgiving it for what it is and forgiving yourself for believing it or for giving it essentially your energy. You'll notice that energetic knot dissolves, and every thought, emotion, belief, circumstance also dissolves with it. The key really behind all things in terms of alchemy and dissolving the parts of you that you don't need anymore, it's reconnecting back with the first principle of life, which is divine love. I didn't know what the fuck this meant before, but after continuously doing the love breath meditation that's in that handbook, that is also on YouTube, I still use this meditation to this day. After doing that meditation and like feeling into like my heart chakra and feeling that love, that infinite fountain and source of love, I could literally consciously generate that feeling of love throughout my day, fill my vessel, fill my cells, my body, my emotional body with that love. And that love starts and had started to dissolve those fears of being seen, those fears of judgment, those past emotional traumas that were stored in my body because I wasn't addressing it. I wasn't paying attention to it. I wasn't loving it. I wasn't forgiving it. I wasn't accepting it. So really, if you just literally just still your mind for a few times a day, for a few minutes a day, and you start just kind of going within, thinking about what's kind of holding you back, maybe what fears you have, what memories are kind of holding you stagnant in life. Essentially, the things that you don't want to look at, I'm here to tell you to look at it. As much as you may not want to me, it seems like that is really the only step you need to take in the beginning to completely change your entire life. And that's the exact moment when you can realize that you, that egoic part of you, doesn't exist. It's not going to be through a mental understanding that you don't exist for you to change everything and for everything to, arrive and come to you effortlessly. It's going to be a feeling. It's going to be an internal shift in feeling. So anytime you see these channels talk about like affirming and understanding this law of whatever, that's cool. But if you can't tangibly experience that for yourself, what the fuck are you going to do with that shit? Literally, what are you going to do with that information? Sitting with yourself and going within is always the right answer. It is always the answer that is it is always the most efficient and effective answer. If you want to fix your self-concept, you're not going to fix it through robotically affirming that you're something different. You're going to internally shift and feel that shift when you dissolve the lower parts of you. When you become aware of your ego, of your shadow self, and actually do the work on yourself. Trust me, I always wanted the easy way out, but robotically affirming and doing all these affirmation lists and all these manifestation techniques, it was making my life way harder than it needed to be. First of all, I didn't even feel like myself when I did all of those techniques. I was doing it because I thought, okay, there's a way for me to bypass all the internal turmoil I've had all these years. That shit did not work out, man. So, if you feel called to it, you can look at the handbook that I have in the WhatsApp group. It has literally every single tool that I used to tangibly feel my true self. To tangibly feel that internal shift of realizing that egoic part of me doesn't exist. And to literally wake up every single day knowing that I changed something internally for the better. And I can tell you from experience that I have never felt this confident. I have never felt this much like love within myself, like self-love, that was never a concept in my head like 6 months ago. And you'll see when you actually start doing it, you'll start to understand and like see how your ego plays tricks on you and how it keeps those limiting beliefs and fears going. You'll see through it all because you'll have the highest perspective and perception you could possibly have. You'll be tapped into the source of everything, which is divine love, every single day. And you'll be able to consciously reconnect back with that presence whenever you need to. Anyways, I'm sweating like a motherfucker because I am in a black t-shirt and I think it's like 35 degrees. I'm not the smartest one right now, but I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time. Peace.